Right folks, here we have another quad bike from the, well, they feel fairly old, 30 model multi-model set, which is 2010 this one, March 2010. I've had a couple of these. I've had a 35 model as well, I think. One was a tractor. I've built it. I haven't shown it yet because the model's a bit flawed. It's 6 volt, it's the fastest tractor you've ever seen in your life. It's got a bit of a power takeoff on the back, which the way it's done, there's a bit of lack of support really for the shaft and it jams up. I was going to see if I could fix it with the set parts, get it to run better, because it has the added benefit of slowing it down as well. But again, another model where I've pinched some parts out of the set to do the Land Rover project I've mentioned in the last video, the 10 model multi-model set from about 18 months ago. So, what is absolutely fantastic about this set is the zinc plating. I don't think you're going to be seeing it and doing it any justice. True, some of the zinc parts, the smaller zinc parts, sorry, are not that brilliant. Things like angle brackets, and there may be a few fingerprints, but can you make it? I mean, I don't know if you can really appreciate it compared to, say, the last video, but it is absolutely stunning, almost mirror finish, and I don't know why it does seem less susceptible to greasy paw prints. And as you can see, it's fooling the camera there because that's shiny. Look, it's going dark now, but you can take that from me. It is the best zinc plating I have seen on any Meccano. Brand new now. Or granted, I haven't opened all the newer sets at the moment, all the latest sets. But certainly, of all the multi-models, it is the best zinc, and it's better than any of the old stuff I've seen. Granted, it's old, but even if it's mint, boxed, little used, even the 1990 sets, this is the best I've seen. Now I suppose you could argue, well, it's newer, but now it seems to be, since let's say about 2012 onwards, the zinc seems to be a lot thinner, a lot thinner, a lot more stained, perhaps marked, scratched. This is brilliant, literally brilliant, in the sense of the word, that it's as bright as it can probably possibly be. Now, I said it's 6 volt motor, nice build, about 2.5 hours, probably 2 hours really. As I've said before many times, I do notes and I'm doing something else at the same time, watching the telly or whatever. We've got decent steering on this one. I'll do it the other way so I don't block your view so much. We've got decent steering, there like that. And it's a bit difficult to steer standing still because, as you can probably see from there, the back twists. I can't really call it suspension in the normal sense, but it's certainly some suspension, and really the model's gone a long way with the set parts to do something a little bit more clever. Although, because of that, it is ever so slightly imperfect. I was going to say flawed then, but no, I won't say that. We have a nice arrangement. We've got nice looking handlebars, although you have to turn the short axle, so I've done it there, see. It's a tri-axle, and actually when this is on display and in use, I may actually replace them with round ones so they stay in, because the slightest bump, these will fall out. What you do, you turn it so that normally you put it in there like that, dead easy. You just slot it in like that, and the tri-axle sort of follows the form of the rod and strip connector. So what you do, you turn it a fraction so that the points of the axle fit alongside the inside of the rod and strip connector. The trouble is when you push it in, sometimes it moves and it comes loose again. Actually, that's gone in quite well. But certainly they're quite, it's sort of like almost like spring loaded, so a bit of a knock and that could come out. So I might change them anyway. But the problem is with the model is it's a basic model. So you've got belt drive. And the motor's under here, rather nicely done actually. The motor's under here, nothing too complicated. We've got a small pinion inside there and a large contract gear to this 1/2 inch pulley to a 1 inch pulley. Really the 1 inch pulley could be doing with a 1.5, or indeed, looking at the size of the tyre, probably a 2 inch pulley. Obviously not in the set. But the drive is the problem. Should be fine in a straight line, but what I'll do, I'll show you the back end, I'll show you how the suspension works, and you probably have a better understanding. So here we have the rear of the quad, the rear axle, and its suspension. Now suspension is probably far too strong a word, it's a bit of an over exaggeration really, because there are no springs, coil, leaf, there's no springs at all, and it's more of a twist than up and down suspension. I'll show you what it works. Basically we've got one pivot in the middle there. Now that's got an encapsulated nut on the other side, and again it's tight enough as not to be too lanky, and as you can see it rocks, twists, whatever I'm going to call it. But the problem with it, and it's probably best upside down, is that it relies on the belt twisting. Now of course that's far better than a chain. A chain should always be kept in line really. Derailleur gears, they shouldn't really work as well as they do, but they do. But you shouldn't really move a chain off its off the straight and narrow, as it were. But you can see it twists there a little bit. Now both of these wheels are fixed on the axle, so I may try and prevent what's been happening. It runs very well, and I can't really show you on this video because I need somebody to help me really. So folks, as you can see now, it's more or less on full left lock. There's no diff to split the drive so it turns corners nicer. Obviously it's a fairly basic model. So I think because of that, because of the tilt created by the twisting motion of the suspension, the twisting of the drive band, it means that it needs a deeper groove on the 1 inch pulley behind this drive wheel here, and because it's a standard groove, the belt, even though the belt's quite tight between the two pulleys, the belt does jump on a full left lock. I don't know about right lock. I've got a couple of ideas for practical use. There's plenty of nuts and bolts left, and you'd only need one. You could lock up the rear swinging arm, or twisting arm you might say. Going a bit more adventurous, in the 25 model multi-model set, that's the Lorry. Well, it's got a 4x4 on the front, but I've made the Lorry. From about the same time as the last 10 multi-model set video, about 2013, 2014. You get some shock absorbers in there, sort of shock absorbers. They look like shock absorbers, a bit like a McPherson strut. Basically a spring. They are a bit big perhaps for this model, and perhaps you'd only need one. But you could attach those to prevent too much suspension movement, and it'd be more controlled as well. The other thing I'm going to do, I think, with this is disconnect the wheel on this side, on the back, so it's not driven and spins freely on its axle. Then when you're doing a right-hander, it should turn nicely, because that wheel not being driven will turn at a bit, and pivoting on its own axle, will turn at a slower speed going that way, and it would turn easier, and it does run well anyway. It should be fine in a straight line, but of course any lumps and bumps, where this will probably be in use outside at Bliss Hill in less than 2 weeks' time, it may be a little bit of an embarrassment when it comes off. It really needs a drive shaft, a proper drive shaft, and a universal joint. Now, but we're getting mad now, and it's not really big enough for that sort of thing. But it is a very good attempt to do something a little bit more clever with basic parts, very basic parts, and not many of them. So you've got great steering, and it sort of looks the part when it's tilted over like that, and it does motor. Now I'll switch it on. I'll jack it up at the back. I'll switch it on. Get your finger out the way. And you can see the belts come off there. That's exactly what's happened. Look, it's not happened before with it free, and it could do with a bit of furniture polish on the gears to quieten it down a bit. But because of the full tilt, it's just too much, and the belt comes off. I'll show you underneath. It's just too much. Now, it may not go that far with the weight of the vehicle on it anyway. Going right, who knows? Certainly does it left. But the groove on this pulley, plastic pulley, to my mind does look a little bit shallow compared to others. So I'm just going to see if I can find one and we'll compare. Well folks, I think I don't know if it's fortunate or fortunate, but I've just been looking at that pulley, and here's we got the same type. Wait for the thing to focus. There we are. That's the same type that's on there, and there is the groove. Now this is a one out of the 25 model super construction set, and there is the groove there. See the groove there? And change the other one again. Look at the top, across the top of the groove there. I can get it. See there? And if I put them together, we should be able to see a difference. Yep, there's a difference there. Slight difference. So the one on the right is slightly deeper groove. And purely because in the same box. This box, by the way, is from Wilkinson's. You get 4 of these in like a carry box itself. They're slotted together. I'm having a bit of a sort out really, and I need some more drawers. So these are a bit of a stopgap. So look at that. And while we're here, we've got those shock absorbers I was telling you about. So you could probably do something with them. And they look really good with those on. But of course, that's if you've got the set. So, that is the issue. You may find it an issue depending on how rough the surfaces you are running on, but I'll try and run it again. I'll hold my finger under it somewhere to stop it moving. Just put the belt back on, I suppose, from before. There we are. And you can just see the belt actually runs right. The top of the belt is right at the top of the pulley, so you're going to do a bit more. So maybe a tweak there. It wouldn't take long to do that because of the grommets. Just pull it off and put another one on. So I may do that for practical purposes. There you go. So it doesn't stay on. There's a lot of going with you got the 6-volt motor, I must admit. And even though this one needs a bit of lube, it is still quite pokey, so let's try and hold it there. Right. Let's see. I mean, these are fresh batteries in here, but it goes very well. Need some lube, but that aside, it does run very well indeed. So the groove issue is a bit of a problem, but you could lock up the suspension. There's plenty of bolts to do that. These are probably going to fall out at the slightest bump because the way they're sort of like spring loaded in by turning them slightly because of the triaxles. So if you've got them, replace those with round ones. But it really is a nice, pleasing model. It's nice that they've tried a little bit more, and it's almost successful. Got a bit of detail with the foot pegs. It's just nice, and to be honest, without the slope, I think it might wheelie with the weight, which would probably be quite fun. It's still stuff there, yeah, it probably would wheelie looking at that. So, a decent model, no doubt about that. Need a bit of a tweak, and quite a few of them do, I suppose, sometimes, but really have tried, whoever's designed this, to do something a little bit more adventurous and so close to being successful. If the rear wheels hadn't got their suspension, there wouldn't be an issue. So that's it for this one. Just another reminder, Tim's at Blissstill, 15th, 16th of August and the 22nd, 23rd of August. Blissstill, Victorian town near Ironbridge. I'll put a link in the description. See you again.